Welcome to part 2 of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, and it's time to end Frank Sawhit's career. This man is lying through his teeth in his cross-examination. In the last part, he said he heard a tape recording. I'm pretty sure he's full of shit. So, from the second, third, and fourth statement, you want to put the blackout report as evidence against what he's saying.
Objection!
And this right here exposes him for the liar that he is. Because he couldn't have heard anything on the television because there was no power. He even said there was no phone himself. You gotta catch things like that, people. Because if you don't, you probably are going to miss a lot of information. So this is a sort of a game of memory. And that's what makes these games enjoyable. Now, when it gets down to Apollo Justice, take all the enjoyability and throw it out the window. I mean, I can tolerate Apollo Justice, but there's just some things about that game that irks my nerves. If I ever do get to it, you'll see. But whatever the case, this guy right here is practically lying through his teeth. Obviously, this is the easiest case because this is a tutorial case. Every case in the first is, well, I was about to say every case in the game would have been, well, let me put it like this. Every first case of the game would have been the easiest one, but sometimes they aren't. Trials and Tribulations actually may throw a curveball at you, and then there's Apollo Justice. Let's not forget about that. Oh, and now he said that he may have heard something that the clock may have said 1 o'clock. And how would he know how the clock sounded? See, that's the thing. How would he know about the table clock if he wasn't in the damn apartment? So, you put the statue of the thinker right in his testimony. This right here will actually prove that he was in the house because that was on the table, not the clock. This dude's like, your objections and your evidence? What's with all that? It's called a trial, bitch. I'm trying to prove somebody innocent, and at the same time, you guilty. However, Mr. Payne actually reveals something rather strange about that clock. Turns out that the clock, well, actually not the clock, but rather the thinker is the clock. So that's why he heard that the clock in the apartment sound off at 1 o'clock, because he smacked the person upside the head with the thinker statue. So you just say yes, because you'll get a penalty if you say no. And you're gonna try to expose this man for what he is. Even though the beginning of the game actually exposed him for what he is. Subtlety, what the fuck is that, Capcom? Anyway, he went into the apartment is what you want to choose. Yeah, you lying little bitch. And, oh boy, he's about to get exposed. Just look at him sweating bullets. If there's one thing again that I love about this game, it's the breakdowns. They are over the top and hilarious. Him especially. See, if there's one thing about Frank Sawhit, he is infamous for his breakdown, which we will soon see in a few minutes. But, the fact that this guy tried to frame you for murder is blasphemous. And, there's really not much you can say. He just called it, and Winston Payne just called it baseless conjecture. Seriously, Winston, have you not been paying attention? Look at this guy. He got exposed and now he don't know how to handle it. And this is why he is infamous. Excuse me one second. Yeah, that's right, folks. Frank Sawhit wears a toupee. And he's infamous for throwing it at the people who has exposed him. So on that note, he is still trying to accuse Larry of the crime that he committed, even though he just got exposed. And now Winston's trying to sway the judge back on his side, talking about there's no evidence to prove his claim. There is a way to actually prove that, though. Just tell the judge to simply sound the clock. Sorry, I just stuttered there, but of course, if you sound the clock, it'll tell you the time. And when he sounds the clock, he tells the time, which is 8:25. Now then, this is the funny part. If the time is 1 o'clock, no, the time is 8:25, and he just asked for the time that's in the actual courtroom, which is 11:25, there's a 3-hour discrepancy. Meaning, Frank Sawhit didn't even get to the apartment until 4 o'clock. So, yeah. He's still trying to say that you can't prove anything, and that there's no way to prove that he's the murderer. However, there is one small problem about this case. This is a tutorial case. And sadly, the tutorial case comes with extreme hand-holding. So, with that said, even though we almost had him, Phoenix Wright gave up at the last minute. Only for Mia to jump in and stop all of the madness from coming to an end. So in other words, Mia will tell you how to finish this case once and for all. And while this hand-holding would be all well and good for the first case, it's the second case that's the problem. We'll get to that when we get there. But for right now, Mia tells you to think outside of the box. That's the only way you will be able to win this case. Now, for those of you who are wondering, how do you do that? Remember that passport we got from the defendant? Or should I say from the prosecution? Yeah, Winston Payne literally did set himself up. And this man is about to be ended very harshly. Yeah, the passport is gonna come into play right now. And because we showed the passport, the difference between here and Paris is 9 hours. In other words, it was set to 1 a.m., not 1 p.m. Rather being 3 hours behind, it was actually 9. And the victim didn't get a chance to reset the clock because Frank Sawhit smacked her in the head with it. So on that note, Capcom with the puns, god damn it, Frank Sawhit has been ended. Dude, he's foaming at the mouth. Man, we just freaking owned him. But don't think these cases are gonna be freebies. Oh no. That's how they get you. Well, all the Phoenix Wright games. So with that said, by default, since Frank Sawhit really was the man who killed Cindy Stone, that means, well, Larry is actually free to go. He calls it a formality. And we get the not guilty verdict with a bunch of confetti falling into the courtroom. Get used to that, because I think there's only one instance where that does not happen. So, turns out it's worse than that. Frank Sawhit was actually a burglar that was posing as a salesperson for the newspaper. And he was waiting to see if anybody was at home so that he could do his crimes. He saw Larry, and when he waited till Larry was gone, he tried to rob the place, but it turns out that Cindy arrived a little bit too early. So he smacked her upside the head with the statue and tried to put the blame on Larry. But he couldn't do it because he is a terrible liar. And Winston Payne literally handed him his defeat. Don't think all cases are going to be freebies. I can't repeat that enough. And of course, Mia is smiling because this is the first trial she's ever seen that has a satisfying ending. Wait till we go to later games. You'll find out why. But for right now, we can just celebrate that a scumbag like Frank Sawhit is now behind bars. And as for Larry, he still doesn't get it. Despite the fact his girlfriend is dead and was a gold digger, she actually still loved him. And the reason for that is, she took the statue with her. Obviously, that's the only reason why she had it. And of course, Larry's talking about paying for, actually not paying for dinner. He's suggesting dinner. Phoenix will end up being the one footing the bill because Larry's an asshole. By the way, Larry was the one who made the thinker. He's actually pretty gifted. Yeah, he's kind of an artist, but the thing is, his artistic ability is overshadowed by his penchant for doing stupid things. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we've done this case. But there is one last thing you need to do before we can actually call this case over. Yeah, we're gonna have to actually go into the evidence once again to show Larry that his girlfriend actually cared for him. Don't worry, this isn't going to be a running gag. It won't end anytime soon. I mean, she kept the statue, and she always had it by her side until the very end. So, for the most part, at least she thought enough of him to take the clock. Despite her cheating on him with several men, getting a lot of money, and coming back with a lot of expensive items that he didn't know about until the law told him about it. Still, at at the end of the day, he's a free man and he did not get charged for murder. Although, get used to seeing Mia. She bailed us out of that case, and hopefully that's not going to be a reoccurring thing. One thing is for sure, though. This is unfortunately the last case we will ever see Mia alive again. Oh, I'm not spoiling anything, folks. As a matter of fact, despite the fact that, we'll drink a toast to the innocent butts. And of course she wanted to try to find out how Phoenix ever became influenced to become an attorney thanks to Larry. But unfortunately, like I said, this will be the last time we will ever see her alive. The next case will see to it that, she will be, with us spiritually. Let's put it to you like that. Ah, Mia. You may be the inspiration to Phoenix, as is Larry, but, there's nothing that can actually save the fact that you are going to be eliminated. This is RV Man 985. We're done with Case 1, and I'll see you guys next time in Part 3, when we start, actually one of the more longer trials, Turnabout Sisters, where unfortunately, Maya's going to be taking, or should I say, Mia is going to be taking the role of the victim this time around. Oh boy, and I have a lot to say about that case. At least it introduces Maya. See you guys next time.